Okay, hi everyone, welcome back to this live stream for Windows Server 2003. So we'll just click here, share my screen, and here we go. Okay, monitoring network traffic. Sometimes the best way to see what's happening on your network is to watch the traffic as it passes. A tool called Network Monitor is included with Windows Server 2003. This tool is a direct descendant of the Windows NT Network Monitor, which in turn is based on the same named tool provided with the Systems Management Server SMS product. Network Monitor is a network analyzer or sniffer after the Network General Sniffer toolset. Network analyzers capture raw traffic from the network and then decode it just as the protocol stack would. Because they don't depend on a protocol stack, you can use an analyzer to monitor traffic for protocol types you don't actually have installed. For example, you might use Network Monitor to capture and decode AppleTalk packets while troubleshooting a Mac connectivity problem, even without having AppleTalk on your workstation. Network Monitor comes in two pieces: the application which you install on Windows Server 2003, see Figure 2.7, and the driver which you typically install on Windows 2000 or XP professional client machines. Although most versions of the Windows operating system can use Network Monitor driver to monitor traffic on a machine, it must have the driver installed. It's automatically installed when you install the application. The driver is required because it puts the network card into promiscuous mode, in which the card will accept packets not addressed to it, obviously a requirement to monitor overall network traffic. Network Monitor allocates a big chunk of RAM to use as a capture buffer. When you tell it to start capturing network packets, it copies to the buffer every packet it sees on a particular NIC, gathering statistical data as it goes. When you stop the capture process, you can analyze the buffered data in a variety of ways, including by applying capture filters that screen out packets you're not interested in. Before you install and use Network Monitor, there are a couple of caveats you need to know about. First, the Windows Server 2003 Network Monitor only works with Windows 2000 or XP clients. If you want to use it to monitor Windows NT 95 or 98 clients, you need the Network Monitor drivers from the SMS CD. More importantly, the Windows Server 2003 version of Network Monitor allows you to watch traffic to and from only the server that it's installed on. The SMS version of Network Monitor supports watching traffic anywhere on your network. So you can see here, Figure 2.7, the main network monitor window. Windows Server 2003 also includes a tool called System Monitor, which is used to monitor just about everything that goes on in the computer. The processor, memory disk, and more importantly, the network can all be monitored in the System Monitor utility. The System Monitor does not provide as much information about network traffic as Network Monitor, but it's great for obtaining a quick graphical representation of the status of your network. In many cases, this is quicker and easier than deciphering the complex information that Network Monitor presents. In the following sections, you will see how to install and use Network Monitor, System Monitor to monitor network traffic, installing the Network Monitor driver and application. If you want to use Network Monitor to capture packets from a machine that doesn't already have Network Monitor on it, you need to install the Network Monitor driver on the target machine. Once you've installed the Network Monitor driver on at least one either machine, you can install the Network Monitor application itself and start monitoring. Exercise 2.4 explains this process. In this exercise, you'll install the Network Monitor driver and the Network Monitor application. So exercise 2.4, installing the network monitor driver and application. 1. Open the network connections folder by clicking Start, Control Panel, Network Connections, Local Area Connection. 2. When the Local Area Connection status window appears, click the Properties button. 3. When the Properties dialog box appears, click the Install button. The Select Network Component Type dialog box appears. Click Protocol in the component list and click the Add button. 4. The Select Network Protocol dialog box appears. Select Network Monitor Driver and click the OK button. 5. Once the driver is installed, the Properties dialog box reappears. Click the Close button. Click the Close button on the Local Area Connection Status dialog box as well. Installing the Network Monitor application. 6. Select Start Control Panel, Add or Remove Programs. 7. When the Add or Remove Programs dialog box appears, click the Add Remove Windows Components button, which opens the Windows Components wizard. 8. Select the Management and Monitoring Tools items and then click the Details button. 9. Check the box next to the Network Monitor Tools item and click OK, which returns you to the Windows Component Wizard. 10. Click Next in the Windows Component Wizard. 11. After the necessary files are copied, click Finish to close the wizard. 12. Click the Close button to close the Add or Remove Programs dialog box. How to use Network Monitor. Network Monitor is a complicated tool. It's made for complicated tasks and its interface reflects that. This section isn't going to teach you how to troubleshoot subtle network problems with Network Monitor, but it will explain how to use Network Monitor to do some simple tasks that will give you a good head start on learning to use it well enough to pass the exam, and it is hoped to solve the occasional problems too. When you first start Network Monitor, it will ask you to choose a network to monitor. The list of networks you see will depend on the number of NICs you have installed. If you have only one NIC, Network Monitor will automatically select the correct network for you and you'll see the Network Monitor window. The following list explains what you'll see in the main Network Monitor window. You can turn specific panes on and off with the window menu. The graph pane in the upper left corner displays bar graphs of current network utilization, including the number of frames, bytes, broadcasts, and multicasts captured per second. The pane updates only when a capture is in progress. The session stats pane, located in the middle of the left side, shows information about connections captured during the current session. This information includes the source and the destination network addresses and how many packets have gone in each direction between the two endpoints. The total stats pane, which occupies the right side of the window, lists a variety of interesting statistics, including the total number of unicast, broadcast, and multicast frames that Network Monitor captures, plus the amount of data currently in the capture buffer. Like the session stats pane, this pane's contents are continuously updated during a capture. Excuse me. The station stats frame, located at the bottom of the window, tells you what's been happening on the machine running Network Monitor. Now that you have an idea of what the different sections of the Network Monitor window represent, you can begin to capture data, as you will see in the following section. Capturing data. When you capture data, the process is detailed in exercise 2.5. You're just filling up a big buffer with the packets as they arrive. Network Monitor doesn't attempt to analyze them at that point. To control capture activity, you can use either the toolbar buttons, the ones that use the standard start, stop, and pause symbols, or the commands in the capture menu, start, stop, stop and view, pause and continues. Starting and stopping a capture is pretty straightforward, although you may need to adjust the buffer size upward from its default to 1 meg. You do this using the capture buffer settings command. Once you start the capture, Network Monitor will continue working until you filled the buffer or stop the capture. At that point, you can view the data or save it to a disk file for later analysis with the file save as command. In exercise 2.5, you'll use Network Monitor to gather a full capture buffer so you can experiment with the display filters in the next exercise. Capturing data with Network Monitor 1. Install Network Monitor as described in exercise 2.4. Open the Network Monitor application by selecting Start Administrative Tools, Network Monitor. The first time you use the Network Monitor application, you will be prompted to select an interface to monitor and select the local area connection to continue with this exercise. 2. Use the capture buffer settings command to increase the capture buffer size to 2 MB. This gives you room for 4096 frames of data. 3. Start a capture with the capture start command. While capture is going, use a web browser to request a web page from the machine you're running Network Monitor on. This step is necessary for the next exercise. Let it run until the buffer is full. You can tell by watching the hash frames in the buffer line in the captured statistics section of the total stats pane. Then click the stop button to stop the capture. 5. Save the capture buffer to disk with the file save as command. You'll need it for the next exercise. Viewing data. After you stop a capture, you can view the accumulated data with the capture display captured data command. This opens a new window, the frame viewer. See figure 2.8. This window lists every captured frame, summarizing its source and destination address, the time at which it was captured relative to the start of the capture operation, the network type, and the protocol in use. Although the display of all this data is interesting, it's more likely that you'll need to use Network Monitor filtering functions to pick out just the data you want. If you want to see the full contents of an individual frame, just double-click it. This causes 2 new panes to appear in the frame viewer window. The details pane is in the middle and the hex pane is at the bottom. See figure 2.9. This gives you an easy way to inspect bit by bit the contents of any captured frame in the buffer. Using filters, you can create 2 types of filters in Network Monitor. Capture filters screen out unwanted packets before they're recorded to the capture buffer. Display filters display some packets but not others. We will look at each of these filters in the following sections. Working with capture filters, you can create and manage capture filters using the capture filters command available from the standard Network Monitor window. This displays the capture filters dialog boxes in figure 2.10. The rule to remember when using the capture filter dialog box is that filters are grouped in a tree. The default filter says that any SAP, E-type, service access point, or Ethernet type, both of these tags mark packets with the protocol they're using will be captured. This is because the tree conditions under the root of the tree all use the AND modifier. While you can use AND, or, and not for your own filters, you can't remove the original tree branches. Say, for example, you want to create a filter that captures traffic going to port 80 on a particular machine. Capture filters don't care about ports, but you can create a filter based on the address and selecting the SAP, E-type branch and using the edit button to capture only IP packets. Next, edit the address pairs item to specify the proper destination address to find packets with a particular payload. Specify a pattern to capture the traffic with the pattern matches branch. Unfortunately, that's about all you can do with the capture filters in the Windows Server 2003 version of Network Monitor. There are a bunch of additional features that only work in the SMS version. Working with display filters. Once you've captured some data, you can create display filters that give you much finer control over what you see. This is handy because it's difficult to pick out the few frames you're looking for from a full capture buffer. You can create display filters while you're looking at the frame viewer window. Use the display filter command to bring up the display filter dialog box. See figure 211. The mechanics of this dialog box work just like they do in the capture filter dialog box, but you can do some additional things as you will see in the next exercise. Using the capture buffer from exercise 2.5, you can create and display a filter to limit what appears in the frame viewer. In exercise 2.6, you will see how to create a display filter 1. If you have quit Network Monitor since the previous exercise, reopen it and then use the file open command to reopen the capture buffer you've saved. Otherwise, select capture, display capture data to open the frame viewer window. The capture information should be intact from the previous exercise. 2. When the frame viewer window appears, use the display filter command to open the display filter dialog box. 3. Select the protocol any line and click the edit expression button. You will see the protocol tab of the expression dialog box. 4. Click the disable all button to remove all the protocols. The filter screens out any protocol that's enabled. 5. Select HTTP in the disabled protocols list and click the enable button. Now HTTP should be the only enabled protocol. Click the OK button. Optionally select any filter and use the edit expression button to add an address rule to the filter. Normally you don't need to do this because the Windows Server 2003 version of Network monitors traffic between only your computer and one other at a time. 6. Click the OK button in the display filter dialog box. When you're done, the frame viewer window reappears, but notice that the frame numbers in the leftmost column are no longer consecutive. The filter is screening out any traffic that doesn't match its criteria. 7. Double click a frame to see its contents because you're looking at unencrypted HTTP packets. You can clearly see the requests and responses. Data from a log file. When you view current data, you are monitoring real-time activity. When you view data from a log file, you are importing a log file from a previous session. System Monitor enables you to do the following tasks. Collect data from your local computer or remote computers on the network. You can collect data from a single computer or multiple computers concurrently. View data as it is being collected in real time or view it historically. That is collected data. Have full control over the selection of what data will be collected by choosing which specific objects and counters will be collected. Choose the sampling parameters that will be used, meaning the time interval that you want to use for collecting data points and the time period that will be used for data collection. Determine the format in which data will be viewed in graph, histogram, or report view. Create HTML pages for viewing data. Create specific configurations for monitoring data that can be exported to other computers for performance monitoring. When you first start System Monitor as shown in figure 2.12, you will see that 3 counters are tracked by default as opposed to previous version System Monitor which did not track any counters by default. The default counters that are tracked contain some of the most useful performance data: memory, pages, sec, physical disk, AVG, which is average disk queue length, processor, hash, processor time. You will learn more about counters in the section Organization of System Monitor later in this chapter. Each counter is listed at the bottom of the System Monitor utility. The fields just above the counter list will contain data based on the counter that is highlighted in the list as follows. The last field displays the most current data. The average field shows the average value of the counter. The minimum field shows the lowest value that has been recorded for the counter. The maximum field shows the highest value that has been recorded for the counter. The duration field shows how long the counter has been tracking data. The following sections describe how System Monitor is organized, how to add counters to track data, and how to use the configure network specific counters. So I'm going to here to see live stream. If you like listening, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you.